Hi, my name is Zachary Cochran. I am the founder and coach at Cochran Coaching LLC. If you are trying to develop yourself professionally, you don't want to do that alone, do you? I'm creating a group to support that process for young professionals so that you can meet with either non-supervisors or supervisors, depending on which you are, and have an opportunity to talk out what it is that you're trying to do to grow and how you're trying to enhance your skill as a manager or as a young professional. If you're trying to develop yourself, don't do it alone. You know the adage, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this is an opportunity to go together on something that most executives have opportunities to do groups like this, but most young professionals don't. Executives go into groups that are of their peers, where they get advice from one another. It's called a peer advisory group. But as young professionals, we don't have access to this kind of community. We don't have access to the support of an executive coach or a coach who can support with professional development. So this is an invitation to you to jump into one of these groups with me. I'm really excited and passionate about supporting career paths of young professionals, and that means you. And I'd love to see what it would look like to have you visit the group to see if it's a fit for you to help you grow as a young professional. Once you get into the group, you can expect that it'll be about an hour long, we'll be on Zoom, and it'll take place during your lunch hour, so that you don't need to worry about taking away time from your workday. And the experience will include talking with your peers. It'll include answering the questions that I'm asking as the coach. It'll really help you to identify what do you need to grow and be successful, and we're going to talk through that. Coaching is essentially a conversation. It's a relationship where the emphasis is on you as the client, and you have the opportunity to talk out what do you need support with. And everyone needs to talk to someone. And so if you can have this group context where it's not only a coach that's looking out for you and asking you informed questions, but you have your peers who are there to support you as well, this is a perfect recipe for great success in your professional development. So sometimes you're experiencing an issue in your career that it feels unique to you. It feels like you're the only one experiencing this. And what I think you'll find is that it's not always that uncommon. A lot of us as young professionals have gone through similar territory and run into the same kinds of problems. But that said, we'll have a conversation if you have an issue that you're trying to work through and you want to bring that and get coaching around that. Well, you have the opportunity to bring that up in that meeting with me, and I'll coach you in front of the group. Then you'll also get additional questions or even feedback from your peers around what maybe you could consider and how you could do things differently. That'll be an opportunity for you to get multiple sources of feedback. I might also take that issue and ask everyone to go out into breakout groups, and if they have some ideas and come back and share those that resonate with you, well, that could give you a really good way to go forward with whatever that issue is that you're facing. If you're trying to start your own business and you're still working your 9-to-5, common challenge. A lot of us have done that or are wanting to do that. And yeah, it does require some planning on how do you set aside the time outside of your standard working hours to actually build a business on the side, your side hustle, right? And to talk that through, that's a totally legitimate topic for this career kind of navigation that you would be doing in this professional development group. You might have the opportunity to say, hey, I don't know how to make this work. What are the suggestions from the group? And they might give you some questions that would help clarify for you what it is that you also could try to be more successful in building that side hustle. Instead of telling you just what you're signing up for, let's talk about why you might sign up for this. You need to develop yourself. You need to grow better. A lot of us have potential, but it's untapped. And unless we work with one another to support that growth and develop that potential, we're not going to make it as far as we could. So how do you develop potential? Well, you have conversations with other people. They can provide perspectives you wouldn't have considered. They can provide opportunities that you wouldn't have access to. And so you are in a group with other people who can support you in your growth, in your professional development as a young professional or as a manager. Well, then what are we doing? Well, we're having the conversations about what are those sticking points or challenges that you might be having in your day-to-day. Maybe it is you're not sure how to navigate your career and you might have some peers who are in the same boat. You all need some coaching around that. That's okay. Maybe you have some ideas on how to support a peer because they're looking for a mentor and you have mentors, but they've never found one before, right? You might be able to offer some questions to them to support them in finding their mentor. And so it's both designed to be an individual way for you to get coaching, as well as a peer kind of supportive community for you to learn from one another and gain the support of a community. And we had this in college, right? If you went to college, you had a group of peers who you could run things by and talk with, but then you go into the working world and maybe you can't talk about some of these things with your coworkers, right? Maybe you don't have the kind of connection with your family or with your friends when it comes to talking about your career, right? And this gives you an opportunity to have those regular conversations, as frequently as every week if you want to be able to understand what it is that you need to do next to advance in your career. So this is going to feel a little different than, say, a traditional mastermind group. Mastermind groups are oftentimes more peer advisory, right, where you're learning from your peers and you have a facilitator. Well, in this context, you're actually going to be in a group coaching relationship. And that means that I'm going to be primarily driving the questions that we're going to be asking, as well as the exercises. And from there, you'll have an opportunity to talk with me as well as talk with your peers, especially as we go into those breakout groups. So who else is going to be in this group? Well, if you join on Fridays, it's going to be other young professionals who are not managers. And they're going to be from a variety of different industries. Most likely, they're going to be somewhere between 25 to 35 years old, maybe a little older, right? As young professionals sometimes goes up to 40 or so. And they're going to be interested in working on their career, maybe their emotional intelligence. They're going to be interested in essentially learning and growing just like you. And so if you want a supportive peer community, right, that'll be really helpful for you to not just get the coaching from an experienced coach such as myself, but you'll have the opportunity to talk with those peers who are also learners. So once a month, I'm planning on having a training in addition to the coaching. And that'll be an opportunity for you to learn about maybe an assessment that you've taken in the group, or maybe a relevant topic to your professional development, such as emotional intelligence. Well, in that training, you'll have that library of content that's going to grow over time in case you need to go back to it, or maybe you even want to share it with a friend or a colleague, right? You'll have that opportunity to do that. Once a quarter, I'm looking at bringing in a guest speaker around some topic that's going to be really relevant to you as a manager or you as a young professional. So managers need other managers to be able to learn from and to support, as they are commonly dealing with the same types of performance management issues. And as a coach, I work with managers on a regular basis, and I see that there are very common challenges that they experience, things like managing their calendars, or how do you delegate effectively, right? How do you lead your people? And so we're going to talk about those things in that group. And I'm planning for that group to be on Tuesdays at noon Eastern for an hour. So again, it's just during a lunch time. You have the opportunity to jump in, whether it's video or audio only, and that's going to be on Zoom. And it gives you a regular opportunity to engage in a conversation around what you need to do to be improving as a manager. And again, you can come as frequently as every week, or you can just space it out to whatever frequency works for you. But the relevance of this is anytime you need that support, you can come in and talk with a coach and with other managers to get through those challenges you're facing as a manager. So I'm trying to make these groups as open and welcoming and inviting as possible, even though we'll be talking about stuff that'll be at times confidential, right? You won't want it to go outside of the group. So one of the agreements that we'll come to when you enter the group, whether it's as a member or as a visitor, is, hey, we're going to not talk about what we've talked about here. Those sessions won't be recorded unless they're trainings, and it's just on you to make sure that you feel comfortable sharing what you're going to share if you bring something to the table that you want coaching around. So if you're an aspiring manager, I would suggest you start in the group for young professionals. That's really more aimed at the entry level or individual contributor level. So if you don't have any direct reports, you're not a manager yet, right? Well, then you should join that group. And ultimately, my hope is you'll graduate from that group into the manager group, and you'll have a place to go. Now, if you're a manager and you get to the point where you're starting to manage managers, you're going to essentially graduate out of that group. And while I'm not currently running a group for those types of director, VP level folks, I might be creating that in the future. And also I have a recommendation for where you can go after you graduate from that management group in the meantime. So how much does something like this cost to be a part of a group coaching program? Well, if you're an individual contributor, you're a young professional with no direct reports, I want to make that as accessible and affordable as possible for you. And while I'm looking at building this group up to where there might even be a few dozen people subscribed to the group, I think the standard experience for you is that you'll see maybe 10 to 20 people per week as you join those meetings. And as you do, normally the cost of a coaching session could be anywhere from $75 to several $100s, depending on the coach that you work with. I charge right now $200 as my discounted price for individuals, and that's for one 60-minute session. I want this to be as affordable and accessible as possible for you if you're a young professional, which means I'm charging, instead of the $200 per 60-minute coaching session that I do with individuals, I'm charging $200 for the entire month, which means that you're getting the opportunity to come every week 4 or maybe even 5 times a month and get coaching, which makes it, again, very accessible, very affordable, and even better if you can talk to your manager or your organization and see if they're willing to give you a budget for your professional development. Your company might even cover it, right? It's not overwhelmingly expensive to spend about $2,500 a year on your professional development. And if that number is too high for you, have a conversation with me. Let's see what we can do to make this work. If that $200 sounds like it's too much for you per month, then the whole point of this group is to help you grow your salary, to grow your advancement in your career, and it should yield a return of many, many times that. In fact, I'm comfortable if you don't get a raise within the first 12 months of working with me, let's talk about me giving you a discount or maybe even refunding you those full fees. I'm so confident in the power of coaching that I believe you'll experience the benefits of this, if not immediately, within the first 12 months. And I think that you have the opportunity, if you show up on a consistent basis, to invest in yourself, to really see that growth. And so I'm excited about working with you if you think you're a fit for this program. And if you are, let's talk. So what's the process to get into this group? Well, first, you can just go on my website and identify that you're interested in the group. And that's essentially your application. The second step would be to have a conversation with me. And that'll just be to make sure that you're a fit for coaching with me and for this group. And finally, if you're accepted into the group, right, then you're all set. You can continue coming on that weekly basis, and we'll look forward to having you in the group for as long as you want to stay, or until you graduate out of the group because you move up to the next level. If you're a manager, you probably can get this paid for by your company. And companies really invest in managers because they know that it makes their whole teams better, right? It leads to greater efficiencies and just generally better effectiveness, better profit, better revenue, et cetera. Managers are where companies try to invest. And so this program costs $400 per month. And that's almost $5,000 a year. And if your company wants to keep you growing, keep you happy, right, they should be willing to pay for that for you. And if you're not able to get this sponsored immediately, let's have a conversation about that, because I'd like to help you get that support that you need from your company, and we can do some coaching around that to help you get into this group and get it sponsored. What am I inviting you into? Well, it's a once a week Zoom meeting for an hour during your lunch that you can join when it works best for you. You don't have to join every week, that you can, and it's an opportunity for you to work with a coach directly while also getting the support of your peers who are getting coached around some of the same exact things. I want to support you in realizing your potential. Join this group and you'll have an opportunity to work with me and with your peers to figure out what it is that you need to do next. That'll help you to advance, to grow, to get promoted, to get raises, and get further along the path of fulfilling work that lets you accomplish what you want to accomplish in the world. If I could go back in time and I had access to a group like this, I think it would have been game-changing for me. I would have had the opportunity to learn more quickly with a community of like-minded peers who just really wanted to grow and who were serious about that growth by just investing in themselves on a regular basis. And the things that I might probably have done was to figure out, how do I get more mentors in the right areas? How do I turn those mentors into sponsors who can open doors and give me opportunities? Maybe what kind of young professional community should I be a part of? Maybe there was a committee or even a board that I could be on. And in fact, maybe I would get to the point where I'm running that board, right? And the reality is, I've done all of those things. I just figured it out the hard way without the support system that you would now have through this group. So if you've seen my videos before, you might have heard me say that you'll be with yourself for the rest of your life. But as a young professional, what does that actually mean? Well, if we're going to live till we're about 80, well, you might have another 45 to 55 years to just continue growing and learning and investing in yourself. And if you can make that investment now, you're going to see the effects of that over the next several decades. And that's going to be really big for you as that grows and compounds over time. Now, if you live to 100, well, you still have another 65 to 75 years. And that's a long time. And if you have the opportunity to invest in yourself today and you miss it, you're going to miss out on all of what you would have gained over the course of your life. On a practical note, if you're joining for this group, you're going to eat your lunch while you're on or off camera. You're going to have the opportunity to listen in and ask questions. You don't have to be on camera for this group, though I'd strongly encourage, if you can be, do, because you might get more out of it if you're really focused and engaged on the conversation. So if you're a member of this group, you'll get invited to the 3 times a year that I do a Breakfast of Gratitude event. It's an opportunity to network with others in my business network and to learn something else as I do a short training on a topic that's relevant. It's just also a great opportunity to pick up an item in the raffle if you end up winning that as well, including maybe one of the books that I would recommend that would help you with your ongoing professional development. An author once said that problems are a good thing. Problems are a sign that you're alive. The only people who don't have problems are dead. And that means that you're going to have a specific set of problems that you're facing in your career at any point. And as long as you have problems, you have an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to actually upgrade your problems to better problems. Right? And so if you want to do that as a young professional, maybe the initial problem that you're facing is you're just not well connected enough to find the next job. Well, maybe being a part of a supportive peer community is going to help you find the right resources, the right ins, the back doors into companies that'll get you that next job. Well, maybe you have a job that you like and you need to figure out, well, how do I make that job fit me better? Well, get some coaching around that, right? How do you tailor the job to fit you? How do you work out of your strengths instead of just mitigating your weaknesses? And let's say you're working in your strengths, you're satisfied with how you're doing, but you're not making enough money yet. How do you advocate for yourself? How do you develop those skills? Maybe there's a way in which you can show that you're creating enough value or create even more value to make yourself more marketable and more valuable to the company. If they won't pay you, maybe someone else will. Again, this is an opportunity for you to continue to take those steps and solve each problem as you face it in your career to the point where you're to the place where you want to be. And as a young professional, doing that alone is really challenging. Getting to do that with others is really helpful. And so I want you to join this group, whether you're an individual contributor, right, working by yourself, or you're a manager supervising others. Consider joining me on this adventure. I would love to have you. If you've heard this and you're thinking that maybe this is a fit for you, I don't want to push you in that direction. I want you to know it's right and the timing is right for you. So why don't you reach out to me, sign up, and come visit the group. And from there, we can make a decision on if you're a fit and if you're going to join the group. How can you sign up? Go to CochranCoachingLLC.com and click sign up. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description and you'll see more details about this program. I'm looking for 15 young professionals to join me for the pilot of this program. If you want in, sign up today. I'm Zachary Cochran, founder and coach at Cochran Coaching LLC, and I would love to be your coach.